taste so good, make you want to slap your mama.
I'm still not getting anything. Good evening, everybody. This is yours truly, Big Mike, coming at you, Sound Booth Radio 106.1, Sound Booth TV, for another edition of Teen Summit. We're doing it tonight. Here we join with the mayor of Tuscaloosa, Mr. Walt Maddox. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming in. Also joining us, I think she's in New York right now, but Miss Tina Sanders is joining us as well. Hey, Miss Tina, how you doing?
Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much. Good evening, Mayor.
Good evening.
Thank you so much for the opportunity and everyone else on the show.
Okay, and of course, it wouldn't be Teen Summer without us having some of our youth running around Tuscaloosa, some of our incredible youth. Right now, I think we have Zay on the line with us.
Hey, how y'all doing? How y'all doing?
And we also have DP on the line with us. DP,
how y'all doing? How you doing, Mr. Maddox?
I'm doing well. You doing okay tonight?
I'm doing well tonight. How everybody else doing tonight?
Jaquan.
Awesome.
And we also have Jaquan on the phone with us.
He's buffing.
Uh-oh. Okay, so he's having a slight connection problem. But as soon as he comes in, we'll get him started. We'll go ahead and get started tonight with everything. We just want to address some of the problems, not necessarily problems, but the concerns that our youth have here in Tuscaloosa and surrounding areas. They have a thing to say as well as in all the adults around, adult, but you know they have opinions, they have ideas on how to help better Tuscaloosa, and this is a forum for them to be able to speak their minds and also come up with solutions to some of the things that are concerning here in Tuscaloosa. With that being said, I want to get everything started. But before I do get started, I do want to go ahead on and mention that this program is being produced by one of my number one guys, Carmelo DJ Mello Hare, another youth in the city of Tuscaloosa that helps put on a lot of here in Tuscaloosa. So that being said, I'm going to start with Zay, because I know that you've been doing some work around the city in a particular area, and I think that you wanted to talk a little bit about it.
Yeah, well, the Boys and Girls Club just branched off to the west side. I know a lot of people didn't know about it. What is it? The old Stedman Heights, now called New Heights. And we're getting ready to do a outreach program to get more kids. This summer we peaked at 20, and we just opened, and I think in June we offer mentoring, tutoring, live lessons. We actually just got my first teenager a job. She's 14. We do job training, like mock interviews, get you ready to work. And it's also for the after school program. It is $25 for the school year. You know, so like we get done the tough part of getting it out there, I feel like really shouldn't be no more excuses of ain't know what for my kids to do. Because like for the school year, it's $25 one payment, and like that's it. And you get everything that a young teenager should get. We start off from the age of 6 all the way up to the age of 18. What else we do? I mean,
So, Mr. Mayor, with this opening of the new Boys and Girls Club on the west side, what can the city do to help get that word out to everybody so that they could know that this is another option for our youth here in Tuscaloosa.
And I believe, and I'd have to ask Xavier, but I believe, is that part of the hub project that's at the old Stillman Heights Elementary?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, the city was a partner on that grant with the Tuscaloosa City Schools in reutilizing the program to provide some of those essential services in those areas. I think the best way we can do to get that communicated out is just through our communications team. We certainly offer the city schools that ability on a constant basis. And I think working with them as well, we're not in control of the city schools, but I can't imagine that Dr. Derry and his team wouldn't want to continue to promote that message. Just last week, I had a meeting with the Boys and Girls Club, just talking about what they can continue to do to expand their services to outreach to our children, because the highest increases of crime we're seeing is between the ages of 13 and 18. And the times that most of those increases in crime are taking place are between hours of 6 and 11. So we know just by the very nature of just those two data points that if you can expand those services and the service ranges, that you can have an immediate impact on the young person, and also certainly have an impact on crime and overall quality of life.
Is there anything else you wanted to say, Zay? Did I lose that?
Other than advertise a little bit, give you the personal number of my unit director. The person want anybody to reach out to him about coming up there. The number is 205-218-5179.
Could you repeat that?
205-218-5179. His name is Mr. Sewell.
So, Mr. Mayor, is there to help build up the membership at this particular facility? Is there anything scheduled by the? I know you said that the city is not personally involved, but is there anything the city can help do to get the membership up?
I think the best thing we can do is we provide Boys and Girls Club an annual appropriation. I think the best thing we can do is just continue to provide them funding and allow them to utilize that funding to get their message out. The city funds almost 4 dozen agencies that do things across the city that we don't necessarily do, but they implement that helps the community. They're certainly one of them. Going after the grant and securing those hundreds of thousands of dollars was certainly, a big help to what's going on at the Boys and Girls Club with them expanding into West Tuscaloosa. They already have a site over by JC Park in East Tuscaloosa. Mm-hmm. So I think those are the things that we do well that we can continue to help grow our community. One of the things that I think is important is that at the city of Tuscaloosa, a lot of times people say, well, the city needs to do this and the city needs to do that. The city only has so much bandwidth, so much legal authority, so much financial resources. And we depend upon these agencies to fill in those gaps. And Boys and Girls Club has certainly done a great job of doing that. And like Xavier touched on, I think they can continue to make that difference. We need their help in West Tuscaloosa, and I'm glad to see that they're part of the hub.
I agree with you, Mr. Mayor, and that's one of the reasons why we really wanted to have you on, was so that we can get that clear understanding of what the city is able to do to help, and what we need to do as citizens in the city of Tuscaloosa to help the city, to help us. Yeah. As a whole, we're trying to make this one Tuscaloosa that's beneficial to everyone. I do want to kind of move on to our next youth. Who wants to go next?
I'll go next.
Check in. Hello.
We got a Mario.
Okay. JP?
It's EP, but I got you.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. So my topic is very important. Is violence. Violence in Tuscaloosa, especially among the youth. So as we know, violence in Tuscaloosa is very consistent. From domestic violence all the way to homicides, murders. And we know, and there was a total of 16 homicides in Tuscaloosa, in the city of Tuscaloosa, according to WRBC in 2021, and there were 22 actually in 2020. So, and personally, as a member of the youth community, I've seen my community grief at the loss of young lives who are just now getting into adulthood, who don't even get to see to take the ACT or even go to prom. So those are things that bother me, and I don't like offering problems without solutions. So first, I'm going to tell you some ways I think we can go about it. Then I'll let you say ways that I know y'all are going about it. So some measures that I think would be good would be like holding community events, cleanups, free car washes, free arcade games, ways to get the children out and play with some kind of sort of incentive, like a giveaway. Because free things always find a way to bring people out. I think also it's very important to use what's popular right now, like social media. So you get on there, give speeches and things through social media to reach the importance of nonviolence and peace and things like putting guns down. Also, I honestly don't think sending the police out. Well, it's good to have the police, but like constantly sending the police out to patrol is kind of not the best way to handle it, because I know there are communities and neighborhoods out there who do fear the police. So those are just my ways, and I want to know like some ways that and measures that y'all have gone and taken about violence, especially among the youth in Tuscaloosa, and ways y'all can go about it going forward.
Well, I think your question is one of the biggest questions on a lot of people's minds. First of all, let me say this: when you give statistics like I'm about to give, it can come across as cold, and I don't mean it to come across that way. My first year as mayor, we had 26 homicides in 2006, and so the number of homicides have actually decreased. Now, there's years where you have peaks and valleys, but if you've lost a loved one, that statistic doesn't mean a dang thing to you. But with the advent of social media and media today, every time something happens, it is repeated 4, 5, 6 times where you feel like there's no escaping it. That being said, we across the nation, we're seeing a rise in violence, and in particular gun violence. And let me tell you what I think are some of the issues, and then some of the things we're trying to address. The first issue is one we have no control over under state law, and that is the proliferation of guns. Under Alabama law, cities, municipalities don't have the ability to regulate guns or gun use. So it's not only just the proliferation of guns, by the way, it's the type of guns. When you have AR-15s, when you have, when you have 9mm with high capacity rounds, or the ability to carry multiple rounds. In many cases, our 13, 14, and 15-year-olds are better armed than the youth in the community. And that is a real concern. There's 400 million guns on the streets of the United States and only 330 million citizens. So that's one. There's just too many guns. And one of the things I see is where 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, if young people were involved in a dispute, you rarely had a gun that was pulled.
Mm-hmm.
Now it feels like if there's a dispute, that's one of the first things that happens.
Absolutely.
And in some of our homicides, they've actually been accidental. Somebody doesn't have experience with a gun. They don't know how to use a gun. They pull a gun out and and the trigger, especially in these high capacity weapons. By the way, many of these are weapons of war. I mean, these are weapons that were designed to go to war, not, So that's one problem. Two is that in Alabama, we have several issues that are going on simultaneously. Our juvenile system for dealing with crime is broken. Our adult system is under federal court order. Our mental health system is broken. So it takes years for trials to get adjudicated. The people violent criminals are out on bail, and there's this feeling that there's no consequences for action. And so we had just in the last 4 months, we had a case where a person who was out on attempted murder shot again at someone, released on bail, shot again at someone. So arrested 3 times for attempted murder in less than 1 year. And under Alabama law, there was nothing we can do because the only time you can be withheld bail is for a capital murder offense. That's insane that happens. And so if you lived in this particular community where it happened, and in this case, Hays Court, why would you tell the police anything? Because you've got to think that person's going to be right back out on the street again. I don't want them targeting me. That's one issue. That's the second issue we face. The third issue that we face is that we need to do a better job of getting community buy-in to help us. In most cases where these weapons are being discharged, somebody knows that person has a weapon. And if we could have and being on the advance of it and not behind it, we could prevent a lot of these crimes from happening. Let me go back to the capacity of these rounds. We've had two of our homicides this year, one that involved a 2-year-old and another that involved a 13-year-old. Involved rounds being fired that were not intended for them. But they were sprayed in such a way, person probably had no experience with that type of weapon, that, quote, they were innocent. Innocent people died. So we know in each of those cases, somebody knew that the individual involved had that weapon, planning this crime, and made a conscious decision to say nothing. So what are we doing about it? Well, at the city, we can't change the court system. We can't change gun laws. We can't change corrections. What can we work on? Number one is expanding education opportunities, whether it's pre-K, dual enrollment, workforce development, et cetera. Number two is that we've made the historic decision to help the YMCA. We're going to construct or provide them it's going to roughly be $10 million. $8 million will be for construction for a new Benjamin Barnes YMCA to provide expanded services in West Tuscaloosa. We're going to provide the Boys and Girls Club $1 million in Alberta to expand the services in East Tuscaloosa. I'll be unveiling an initiative in my budget coming up in a month from now that's going to help the school system expand recreational opportunities for our young people. We are going to work on continue our expansion of public Wi-Fi to help bridge those broadband technology gaps that exist out there. So we're going to continue to push all those efforts simultaneously. But the last thing I would say is that we can't do it without you. We need more than just government. We need our churches involved. We need our civic organizations involved. What you're doing tonight is a perfect example. We need more voices in this because this has not happened overnight. It's not going to change overnight, but if it's going to change, it's going to take all of us collectively. We're all in, and we need our other partners to be all in. So that's a great question, and I apologize. I was a little bit rambling with my long answer, but it is on spot, and I think, quite frankly, it's the question of the day every day for us.
Okay, as you, what do you feel like we can do as youth to help you? Like, how can we help you?
Number one is, I think, give me some ideas of what you would like to see us do, like you've just given me, talking about more community events, more social media outreach. It was interesting hearing you about police in all communities across Tuscaloosa, white, black, rich, old, young, across all demographics. I always hear we want more police. So you saying that it was a little bit different. And I'm not saying, by the way, that's wrong. I'm just saying that's a little bit different. Also, in terms of social media outreach, I'd like to, what are you thinking in that as well? I'd like to get your ideas on that.
Okay, so I'm a social media. That's one of my minors. I feel like that, I don't see a lot of Tuscaloosa in the way, like you as a mayor. I don't see a lot of ways you really reach out on a topic, or even it doesn't have to be a controversial topic. It can be how, what as a community we need to be doing to do this, or, ways you can reach out to the youth and tell the youth they need to be doing this. Advice, simple things is that it's just really getting on the social media and kind of pushing out more of your brand, if that makes sense, to help the community.
So what social, we do the traditional Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Are there any others that you would suggest out there?
You know the young people on TikTok. Well, get your TikTok.
I got an account, but I've never posted anything.
But
Mayor, I think that
No, I agree with you. I just don't know if I'm hip enough for TikTok or not. I'm a pretty boring guy.
you and me are like two years apart. I understand I'm the same way as far as TikTok goes, but I do think that is a tool that can be used, and I think that what's being said is, it'd be nice to have like a state of the city address, especially going out to a lot of the youth around here, because they need to be reassured a lot of times of things. They send a lot of stuff that make it look kind of helpless. In other words, and each and every one of these young people that's on this panel tonight are innovative. They are entrepreneurial, and they're highly intelligent. And I think that there's a lot more intelligence out there than people want to give credit for, just because of their age. They don't think that they know, and they actually know more than we give them credit for.
No, I agree. And one of the things we don't do a good job at the city is that we tend to aim all of our messaging really to 30 and up.
Mm-hmm.
And, again, it's probably because this is one of the things that we need to, I'm not saying this is right, by the way, but I've always said what I think. So I'll tell you the truth is that, we got to get more young people active in politics. Young people don't vote. Young people don't get involved. And if you're waiting for an invitation to the young people out there, one's never going to come. And because young people, I'm sorry, Mike, I'm sorry.
I didn't mean to cut you off, Mr. Merrill. But as far as that goes, when you don't see much change, and it just don't seem like it doesn't change. It's kind of like, what's the point of voting if they're going to do what they want to do anyway?
Well, I would say the reverse. If John Lewis, when I was running for governor in 2018, I was the nominee, and John held a couple of events for me. And it was a real honor. I mean, he's one of the greatest Americans that's ever lived. And you think about how young he was when he crossed that bridge in Selma, and I'm sure he told his story 10,000 times. But he was part of thousands of young people who literally erased 100 years of Jim Crow in just a 2 or 3 year period by their actions. Young people, if you look at the history of this nation, have always been the ones who have spun the dime to make the change. Right now, young people are so absent from the political scene. And I agree with you, Mike, by the way. I mean, if I'm a young person, I sit back and go, how can I make a difference? But I will tell you, as an elected official, and I saw this when I was running for governor, the enthusiasm of young people, the energy that they brought, if once it could click and hold, it could be a game changer. And it can be a game changer, especially at the local level. Only 13% of citizens voted in the last mayoral election.
Mm-hmm.
Now think about that. My opponents spent, a combined about $400,000. I probably spent $250,000. There were signs, radio, television. I mean, you just had to I don't know how you could ignore it. And yet only 13% of the people of Tuscaloosa, registered voters, voted. If young people got involved, they would literally elect council members and probably elect the mayor. And I would encourage you to don't be afraid to be active and have your voice heard. And here's the last thing I'll say on that. We want to hear your voices. I mean, sometimes people say, they don't want to hear us. Heck, I want to hear you. I want to know what you're thinking. I run because I know that what I'm doing really doesn't matter today. It matters for my children and grandchildren. You are who I'm running for. So don't underestimate your voice. Please don't. And I'm proud of you. Proud of you for, what's it, 727? I'm proud of you for doing this on a Wednesday night.
You know, we try to get what we can done, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, we need you.
I think DJ Mello had something that he wanted to say real quick.
Hey, y'all doing?
Doing good, doing good.
Good.
I'm gonna be brief. I just want to throw this out there to you, Mr. Mayor. If I were to form a team of young people, a group of young people that are well known within the community of our generation here in Tuscaloosa, a mixture of those or some that are in the streets as well as some that are young entrepreneurs here in Tuscaloosa. If I put them all together and form a board to do some stuff here in Tuscaloosa, would we have your support as well as the city?
You would have my support. Now, I think the question is, you know, a lot of times people want money. I'll be blunt. They want to form a group and they want the city to provide them funding.
I don't necessarily need money. We just need your support and your voice behind us. We don't need money.
You know what? You had me at that then.
We don't need no money.
You know what though? The reason why I say that is that in my career, too oftentimes you find people who, you know, they say, I'm going to form an organization, and then they send you what wouldn't even stand as financials. Because every dollar we get, you can be audited for. I mean, it is getting government money is hard to get. And you would see it be, you know, we want 100,000 from the city and 95 to pay my salary. And that is something that what you're talking about, you dang right, we would love to support it. Because let me tell you something, that's where you touch people when this is where I think young people are. You sniff out fakeness better than anybody. Then young people sniff that out. It's the authentic, being authentic. That's what they want to see. And if you can be authentic, you're going to make a much more of a difference if you just, you know, comes across as you're checking a box and moving on.
Mr. Mayor, I'm going to hold you to your word, man. I'm going to put together that board, and I'm going to reach out to you, and we're going to get a meeting together, man. I'm going to hold you to your word.
All right. I'm going to hold you to yours.
All right, then.
All right.
On that note, Mr. Mayor, would that include the support of grant writers and so forth and so on? Should they do come across something that might require some sort of funding? Would they be allowed to use the grant writers, the city grant writers, to help them write a grant to propose a grant for that project?
No, the city can't write your grant for you. Let me tell you what you would have to receive city funding. And this is how it's boring, but it's where it needs to be. Just to get city funding and not any of the funds that flow through the state or the federal government, you have to be at least a 501c3. You have to present financials and audits.
Instead of talking about city capital, more so we talking about state and federal.
Then it's even worse. You'll have to present those, and then you're going to have to meet all the federal guidelines because the inspector general will come and audit those funds, and they can come and then audit you as well with those funds. And it is highly bureaucratic to get those funds. That's why you see the success of like the Boys and Girls Club, for example, that Xavier works with. They know how to do that. When we give them federal funds, they know how to meet all the federal compliance and audit requirements of it. Where you see people struggle is that they'll form a group and then they'll say, well, I want city funds or I want state funds, but they can't check the boxes that we're required by law to check. And so that's where it becomes more difficult. And that's where we say you need to rely on the philanthropy of your community to make it happen. If was it DJ that was talking about forming the board earlier?
DJ Mello.
Yep. If I were to write him a personal check, you would, that's just a matter of me trusting that he's going to do exactly with that money he says. If the city writes him a check, it's not just trust. It's going to be, we're going to come and audit you at some point, and we're going to want to know how every dime is spent. We're going to want to know your financial software system of how we can track it. And those things are set in place to prevent any sort of fraud. And every local government of any size, state government, federal government. So it makes it very, very difficult to do. And that's why you see the city fund groups like Habitat, Boys and Girls Club, city schools, things like that, because they do and they handle that, and they have the internal ability to do those things. I would encourage groups that want to form on a smaller, more localized level to get out for personal philanthropy for churches and civic clubs that won't have those same restrictions.
Okay.
By the way, we can't fund churches. I mean, we can't fund, we're very limited by law in what we can fund and how we fund it.
Okay. Who wants to go next?
Javon.
I just want to touch bases to what everyone was saying earlier, as far as getting the kids and having more ideas for the kids. I was off earlier, so I really didn't hear the conversation with the Boys and Girls Club. But for my idea for more youth, because I am a political youth myself, I did student council in high school and all of that good stuff. But to get more youth out, and my ideas of ways doing that is showing them the fun and the excitement behind it, because a lot of youth this generation, like we said, is on TikTok and is on social media. They don't see a lot of that importance of political. They don't see a lot of that importance of being a lawyer or being a judge or being in the political or correction department within the country or whatever state that they are in. So you want to actually show the benefits of that. And yes, we do job fairs and we do fun fairs and stuff like that, but it takes more than fairs. It takes more. You have to actually show up into the schools and be something constantly, because when you constantly remind somebody of something and constantly show them, they get that urge to finally want to do and finally help. Hey, if you do this, if you do that, your voice actually matters. We have to teach this youth and this generation that our voice actually matters and their opinions actually matters, because like my saying this, like I always tell anybody, everybody, we are the next doctors, we are the next lawyers, we're the next teachers, we're the next preachers, we are the next in line. And then the generation after us, and then the generation after that. So we have to take the time, and it can't just be within us and 1, 2, 3, 4, the 4 youth that I see on this panel. It can't just be us 4 that's going out and telling our friends, because we can't do the whole world. But like, we've been asking for the support from the governor office and the mayor office and just our state officials. We want to find out our state representatives, our state senators, who is in our house, who can we talk to about a bill one day, because we can't change the court system, but maybe we can write a bill or change this or make this a kids day or a national youth day to support the kids in the community, to show that their voices matters. Because I know there are a lot of people out there that can cook, that can sing, that can do a lot of things that can support just the USA. But we need to actually look into that and show them that, hey, if you guys come to the council meetings, if you guys form, is there an advisory for Tuscaloosa? Is there a board for the youth? Is there a board to, hey, can we get the youth to come out? Let's get the youth opinion. We have all these state meetings and city council meetings, but where's the representative for the youth? Like, what are the youth saying? What is the youth saying? You said that, people sometimes know that somebody has a gun. So 10 times out of 10, these youth know who has the gun, whose cousin it is, whose house it is. What are the youth seeing? Are the youth seeing these in the streets? Like, I get the saying, let's not be a snitch and stuff. But when you have people my age dying every other day, or just in the streets, or just gun violence in general, like you said, there are people who are seeing things, but what are the ways that we can get them to actually come out and show and to see things like that. But other than that, my main purpose and focus and ideas for the youth as for political and getting them to vote is to actually show them the more importance of it, just not by saying it, but actually taking the time and showing them, like, hey, like you said, they could pick. I don't think that half of the youth know that if you get a whole bunch of us, we can pick the next mayor, we can pick the next this, because whoever we put in that seat, that's who we are trusting to listen and take care of our community for us. So we have to actually show that instead of saying it all the time, or like you said, with the money that you've spent. Because if you spent that much money and we still have that low numbers, then that means we didn't do enough. We did not do enough. We need to make sure that the money that you've spent, the hard time that you have put into your campaign, that it's actually not just reaching certain voters, that it's reaching the youth, that we're actually showing the youth the importance of what it means.
Well, let me just say a couple of things. Is that I think one, we're entering, and this is more my opinion as a citizen of the United States than mayor of Tuscaloosa. We're entering a very unique time in our American history where I'm very concerned that we are slowly making a journey into from a republic into a different type of nation. Recently the Alabama legislature just passed a law that banned critical race theory. Now, in reality, what that does is it bans the teaching of what actually happened with slavery. It actually almost encourages teachers and school systems to ignore what happened in the civil rights movement. I believe when our founders created this nation and they wrote in the Constitution, in order to form a more perfect union, they realized how inherently flawed we were. We were a country then that basically provided a democracy or a republic to certain white men who own property. They realized it, and that's why they said in order to form a more perfect union. In 1861, we engaged in a civil war in order to be a more perfect union. In the early 1920s, we engaged in women's suffrage in order to become a more perfect union. In 1960s, 70s, in order to become a more perfect union, John Lewis walked across the Edmund Pettus Bridge and literally almost died for doing that. Just a year ago or a year and a half ago in Minneapolis, Minnesota, a movement was sparked in this country for the murder of George Floyd that worked to help us become a more perfect union. We are now beginning to take steps backwards. Our country has never been right. I mean, we've always worked to become better, to become a more perfect union, realizing that what makes America great is its willingness to accept its flaws and try to correct them. But now we're seeing where we want to almost erase that as if those things never happened. It's going to be up to you and the youth of this state and the youth of this country to demand more. There's more years behind me as mayor and years behind me as a political servant. And the baton, I got to hand it to y'all. And I hope and pray that you'll rise up. Because if you don't, the things that we hold sacred in this country, I worry about our future. I literally do. And that's hopefully, Lord willing, I'm 50. Hopefully I'm only halfway done on this earth, but likely I'm more than halfway done. But you're not. And I want you and your grandchildren to enjoy more freedoms than you have today. Unfortunately, there is a move afoot in this country to take away more of those freedoms. And let me tell you, it begins with African Americans. It begins with females. And so to me, we're in a very difficult time, and I hope you will become involved, because when this is where and I'm Mike, I know I'm running out of time, and I'm
no, you got all the time you need, Mr. Mayor.
This is where freedom becomes extinguished because of silence. it becomes extinguished because of silence. And I want to encourage you to get involved. And look, I hear you. I need to do more. Our city council members need to do more. The city needs to do more, but I want to flip it on you. You need to do more. You have more access to information than any point in the history of mankind. So I would say that you need to do more. I need to do more. You need to do more. Let's meet halfway and let's do some really cool things.
So with that being said, Mr. Mayor, if these youth start with they have the fire lit up underneath them to do all these things, like Mello said, a youth alliance, a youth coalition for the city, a panel, and we start working together. Foreseeably, do you see much change going on in the city?
If you held a youth summit, if you organically hosted a youth summit, I guarantee you'd have me there. You'd probably have the council members come. Who wouldn't want to come? I'd want to come to have an honest conversation with you about what's going on. And you know what? There may be things you disagree with me, and there may be things I disagree with you, but that's how we learn. That's how we understand. I would love to have that. We orchestrate things from time to time, but sometimes they're so sanitized, you really don't get a lot out of it. It becomes more of a press shot than it does a real exchange of ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what we would really, really enjoy having. Anybody that's thoughtful would want to have that.
Yeah, I definitely think it's a good idea. The main thing about anything Teen Summit does is we want to make sure that our youth have the opportunity to do their speaking and not be drowned out by the older crowd in the room. Well, having said that, we do have another young lady that has joined the conversation. I want to give her an opportunity to speak, and then I want to go into Miss Tina Sanders, who has a few ideas as well about some things that we can do in some of our neighborhoods to help.
I've got about 5 minutes, and then I need to head home.
Okay.
Okay.
Ms. Amaria, can you wrap it up real quick?
Absolutely. First of all, good evening, Mr. Mayor. It's good to see you again.
Good to see you as well.
So I definitely agree alongside the rest of my counterparts that a lot of the things that we feel like we can't control, we can, especially as you. I definitely try my hardest to continue to communicate with you and others who are a part of the council. And, one of my biggest things is definitely getting more active and involved. Because I feel like sometimes what ends up happening is we know who our elected officials are, but we aren't connected with our elected officials, which is the reason that, I have the organization I have, which I've been so blessed and graced enough to be able to have you work alongside us. But I definitely agree with Mello and Xavier. It's better to have you than to just see your face. And as far as community-wise, I do feel like there's a lot more things we can do, especially when it comes down to being the example. A lot of times what ends up happening is, Mama! Please, one of the biggest things that I feel like that I can honestly say is with us being as young as we are, like Mike stated earlier, we do end up getting drowned out a lot, but we definitely want to be able to just work alongside you.
Well, it broke up a little bit on me, but
yes, our opinions are important, but our actions are what's really going to end up that difference and make a change. So,
well, I picked up probably about a quarter of what you said, but I believe your conviction is the youth and you want to do more, and what we've got to figure out is how to hear more, to listen more, and and create an environment where, you know, I've heard this 3 times tonight. I wrote it down about being drowned out. And that's interesting to me because I would think with the multiple ways you can interact that would be the opposite. But the thing is that if you feel that, then that's your experience. So we've got to figure out here at the city, how do we make you feel, not make you feel, because make you know that your voice matters. And so that's something for me. And if you do organize a youth summit, please invite me unless there's, you know, unless I'm somewhere where I can't change it, you know, just if it's that, I will be there. I would love to be there. And I would involve more than just me. I would, again, don't underestimate your power. You would probably get not just me, but you'd get the city superintendent. You would get a lot of influential people. I think I'll close with this, Mike. I don't underestimate your power because most people that serve in public positions, and I hope people know I feel this way, are doing it because we want to make a difference. And your voice does matter on a day-to-day basis beyond running the day-to-day operations of the city, which is my number one job. I respond to the constituents that reach out. We're in the responding business. And so if you reach out, we want to respond to that. And I hope that you will do this. I think what you could offer would be good for us, for the community. Don't quit. Don't get tired. Keep leaning forward, and I promise you, you'll see the results. Mike, I apologize, but I got to run. But I look forward to the Youth Summit. Make sure y'all email me and let me know when it is.
Okay, if you would, Mr. Mayor, I would love if he to continue to listen in because Ms. Sanders got some things that she want to say, and I want you to hear it. So I understand you have to go, but if there's any way that you can continue to listen in.
106.1?
Yes, but it's actually not on the radio station right now, so it's just on the podcast.
Well, I tell you what, I'll make certain my team gets me the podcast, and I'll listen in.
Okay, we sure will.
Y'all have a good night. God bless.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Ms. Sanders, I'm sorry that you didn't actually get a chance to talk to.
No, that's fine.
But please, we'd love to hear your suggestions pertaining to any and everything that you have for our neighborhood.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I hope you can hear me because it keep going out. But good evening, good evening. And like Mike said, my name is Tina Sanders. I do work with youth. I do work with homicides. I work with shootings, whatever it may be. And I like the idea of a teen summit, but it's a lot of things that we could do. And I wish the mayor could have stayed on because now it's a place where we got to change our young people mindset. When I ran for office in New York, I had a lot of youth out campaigning with me, getting petitions signed, whatever it was, because they don't understand that local government is more important than your presidential.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I'm talking about your judges, your everything, because them people sitting behind those benches giving out double digits. Or those people that's our city councils, are they really working for our community? Because we're putting people in our seats or in the seats they're supposed to represent us. And everybody that's skin folks ain't kin folks. Or because, you know, I know the family and I'm going to vote for him, or I'm going to vote for her. It don't work like that. It don't work like that. It's all about being a change and making a change. It's not about proving a point of, oh, you know, I'm this or I'm that. But, you know, I would love to be a part of forming a teen summit. I would love to be a part of doing other things in the city of Tuscaloosa. I thought about an event, Hoops Up, Guns Down. You know, and that's like just a tournament, a street tournament. Outside, block off a street. People bring their chairs. Do what you do. Because as long as we stay in the walls, we're not going to reach who we need to reach. Long as we keep running to the school, we're not reaching the shooters. We're not reaching the shooters. We're not reaching the families that no, Mike got the gun under the mattress. And then we need to educate on what is a snitch, because what they claiming to be a snitch is not a snitch.
That's
A
right.
snitch is somebody that we rock together down with the robbery, and I decide to turn on you, and me and you did it together. No, some say some. You know, I just worked at Jefferson 10. I just was in Ohio for the Walker kid that got shot 60 times. I was in Georgia for Kendrick Johnson. This is nothing new to me. Community is nothing new to me. I will rock with any of you to get whatever that needs to be done. Tuscaloosa is my home, born and raised there. I don't have a problem with being a part, meeting up, doing whatever's need to be done, but we got to pull something else other than what's being the norm. And listen, education is great, but everybody's not college material.
Right.
Everybody's not trade school material. And let me say this, a drug dealer is the best money manager you could never have. So instead of him managing money for drugs, let's teach him how to get his own business. You know, and I wish the mayor could have stayed on, because there's money allocated in every city, in every state for crime. Where that money at? What they doing with that money? So if you did a teen summit, that's a deter crime. So it's got to be some monies there.
You know, Ms. Hunter, let me be honest with you. When you start talking about money, that's when you start tending to lose most politicians. And I'm not speaking solely of the mayor of Tuscaloosa. I'm speaking of most all politicians. If you go asking them for any kind of finances, they tend to, okay, that sounds good. I'll tell you what, call me at this time. When you call them, they're unreachable. That's one reason why I think, and I can't speak for Mello. I guess if he can speak for himself, when he told him, I don't need your money. We just we need to know that we have the backing of you in the city with what we're doing. And that goes a very long way. A very long way. Because once again, I've said it, several of these youth on this line have said it, that when they speak, a lot of the elderly people, the older people, overlook what they're saying because, oh, you don't know nothing. You ain't live long enough. But they actually put in as many years as we have been putting in, because they've seen way more stuff at their age than we saw at their age. I did not see as many murders at their age. I didn't. I didn't have to deal with as much just racism. Not just out in Front Street like they have to at their age. They're older and wiser than I was at that age. And like I said, each one of these young people on here are professional already. So I do agree with you as far as what the mayor was speaking about money. I agree that they have money somewhere, which is why I suggested a grant writer, because I'm sure there are some grants out there that they should be able to qualify for if they know how to write them.
If I can touch on some few things you said, like Miller said earlier, we don't need the money, and it's like something that the Black community got to realize. Like every time we say we need something for our community, we going straight to the government asking for money. But when you really passionate about it, bro, you're gonna do it off the strength out your own pocket. You're not gonna see no ask for no handout.
That's right.
Everything me and Melo do, straight out of pocket. Everything I do on my own, straight out of pocket. Like, when you really want to change, you're going to do whatever to get to where you want to be, to your goal. And if you're going to have to do that without that money, that's what you're going to do.
Right. Okay, can I ask a question or say something? I don't know if it's a question or what. First of all, I'm gonna give my phone number, because I'm ready to work. So, and I'm gonna give my number. So if we really serious as we say we are, let's put this teen summit together. Let's put it together and make it happen. But I'm talking about a teen summit. I'm not talking about nothing minute. Because we want to pull in. So first, here's my number. It's area code 716-816-8264. And that's 716-816-8264. I don't know how y'all schedule may be, but set up something where we can all sit down together, because I'd rather meet in person. And let's sit down and let's come up with some time, some dates, and let's start putting this thing together. But there's so many other things that we can do when it comes to the community. And the city might not give us no cash money or write a check, but they can give us in-kind donations. Might not give us no.
I agree with you. And honestly, from the jump street, as soon as we got the phone doing this teen summit, I was almost positive that Mello and myself was finna get started on doing this. You know what I'm saying? And I need to know is how many people on the panel want to be a part of it.
I think all of us want to be a part of it.
Let's set something up then. Let's set something up where we all can come together. Just let me know. Just let me know. And I don't have a problem with being in Tuscaloosa. And the other,
You're gonna be in Tuscaloosa next week, right?
I'll be in Tuscaloosa when?
Next is it on the 5th, right?
No. That's in September. But we ain't got to worry about that. I could be in Tuscaloosa any day. If I'm not at another, like I have to be in Mobile the 2nd and 3rd of August for a 14-year-old that got shot. So I would be in Mobile them 2 days. But just let me know.
I have your number, and me and you we'll start corresponding a little bit more. I will pass it on to Mello, because Mello is like my right hand over here. We'll make sure that we keep everybody in the loop. Everybody on the panel tonight, we'll keep them in the loop. One thing that we're going to do is everything we spoke about tonight, we're gonna keep it nice and fresh. And hey, you remember you said this? You said this. These are our suggestions. We got more suggestions. We're gonna continue to give you suggestions, because just to hold on to them on your own head and nobody knows what they are, we won't get anywhere. So we have to get it out in the air so everybody can see it. Everybody has to see it. I like the idea of the basketball tournament. The only thing is, I don't even know where we got any black top codes at. They took all of them down in Tuscaloosa,
especially our brother.
But that's the whole thing. That's the whole thing, Mike. We ain't got to go to. We can block a street off. He don't want to give us no money. He can block a street off. We can get some hoops and put in the street. It's street hoops. It's street hoops.
Sound good.
We can get. I know, I can reach out to some people. We can make sure we got trophies. We can make sure but then we want to reach those people that's out there in the community to get their teams in. You know what I'm saying? That's the thing. We got to go beyond the walls. We got to be able to go in areas that we normally would not go in. And talk to these people. Tell them have some sheets that we can register people to vote. Talk about the importance of voting. So that's the thing. But I'm willing to work. Anybody, I put my number there. Anyone can call me at any given time. I'm willing to collaborate with anyone for the good.
If I can put it out.
You can go ahead and finish. And it's the thing. I I can call some of my connections in. I can call some people in. We can make this thing work. I'm not new to this. I'm not new to it at all. Now, the South might not like my style, but I'm not new to it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not new to this. I be boots on the ground. I go up in houses. I go up into places where I should not be normally. But I have to go because there's a gun in there I need to get. And the mother already called me and told me that her son has the gun. So, you know, and the other thing about when we talk about the police and the community, we got to build a relationship.
Now that was the part that I actually wanted to get more into. I knew I had a limited amount of time with everything, but as far as, you know, I understand that what they think that, oh, people want more police presence. We want an equal and fair police presence in each and every neighborhood. We don't stop just because we black and we walking down the street. That's not what we want. And also, we want police officers that have some compassion about the neighborhoods that they are patrolling.
Yeah.
Right.
One of our police officers jump out of their car, walk that neighborhood. They don't know the people in that neighborhood. And that has got to stop. There's no way in the world that you're gonna have. Then if something was to happen, you more likely to think, hey, them jokers went over there. They'll tell somebody that they know is a person. They don't trust police officers out there because they don't know them.
Right. But you got to build a relationship. And because why would I talk to you? I don't know you. I never even seen you around here before. So why should I talk to you? And then the other part, if I talk to you, who's to say? Because police officers do it all the time. That you're not going to go say, I told you. They do it all the time.
If I can put it out, just about everything y'all was saying is the foundation of Board Miller talking about. Like, he has been talking about the plan for months, and all the youth city. Like, only thing we would need from people really is support. We have sponsors in place. We need more youth involved, and we need to flip houses. And that's really all we need. We don't need the money, we don't need the funding. Like, but everything y'all was saying though is like the foundation of the process is youth, basically, from a different standpoint, looking point of view. Like, take the youth that been on here tonight. Us taking probably younger.
I'm having problems hearing everybody.
I am too.
What were you saying?
I was saying, you hear anything I said?
Miller, you might have to mute everybody besides Zay.
Can y'all hear me now? Okay, I'll start over. The board Miller was talking about, we've been talking about for, me and him has personally been talking about for a few months now and trying to put it together. And like basically everything y'all are saying, you know, politic wise and community wise is all the foundation of what we're trying to make it about. Like, we're trying to get younger youth, you know, we're trying to get from this board will consist of the age of 13 up to like probably 25, maybe, of different standpoints, different ages within the youth community, all together to work together and decide what's best for us. Because me personally, I feel like we're not, what were they saying earlier, that drowned out. Me, I feel like we're not drowned out. We just not loud enough. That's how I feel. But I can't hear y'all. I know y'all muted. I can't hear y'all if y'all talking.
I think you're right. I think that's exactly the kind of attitude we need to have pertaining to our youth. And I think that we ought to be together I'm going to see where we can find a nice formalized meeting out the way, I can come to it. You know, we can sit down at the meeting and start playing. And I think we can have some sort of every time we have and then we got to start in the rest of the youth in, so that we can steadily grow. And all the older people, my age and older, who want to be part of it, they can come in too, and that's just a stronger community we can have.
But Zay, you know, you're absolutely right, Zay. But you know, when you're talking about your board and you're talking about you not heard and it's like you're not allowed, that's when you put your board together and you start grooming your person for council seat. You start teaching and you start grooming your person to run for council.
And
You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? And so then that's the thing. You say you form this group. It can be Citizens for Action. That could be your group right there. You see what I'm saying? For the city of Tuscaloosa. That's it. You can always go under the umbrella of anybody's 501c3. You don't have to have your own. See, I listen to the mayor, but I know how this stuff goes. You know what I'm saying? So the thing of it is, you start grooming your next councilman for District 7 or District, however way it go. You know, you start getting your people. It might take 2 years. It might take 3 years. Because, see, you know, sometimes we got to clean ourselves up and brush ourselves off. You see what I'm saying? So you start grooming your man or your woman to get in that seat. You see what I'm saying? Because now you got a voice. You see what I'm saying? Now you got a voice. And that's for each and every district. And you have to come. When I ran for city council, it was 5 women that ran for council. And we was the dynamic 5. And a women's governmental organization endorsed us, high endorsements. Each one of us had high endorsements. So, you know, it's all about knowing when to move and how to move, and knowing when to fold and when not to fold. But until you demand a voice, you're not going to have a voice. That's it, and that's all. You know, we can meet, we can talk, we can say what we don't like, what we do like, what we want to do. But if we're not willing to put boots on the ground, it's all in vain.
And there's one more man. There's always a lot of talk within our community about what but nobody really does anything but just talk.
Right. Well, like I said, I'm willing to rock with any of you. You know, any way that I can assist and be of any help.
EP, you got anything before we get off? Hello? I think he might be muted. I'm hearing a whole lot of
yeah, y'all know. All right. All I gotta say is that, you know, I'm with you, Tina, I'm with you, Xavier. You know, we just can't be about words, we gotta be about action. You know, we gotta be there, especially for the next generation, help them, and like you said, groom them and become the young men we want, you know, see our children as our youth as. So I feel like, you know, we gotta get together. Man, let's make something work. I'm with it.
And let's get together soon.
Soon, yeah.
I'm making phone calls as soon as we get out there. Like I said, me and Mello gonna start doing things. We're gonna be talking about everything we need to be trying to get done in our time frame. So I put it like that, because on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, I'm tied up most of the day, but I still try to make a lot of things happen. And Mello, he makes a lot of things happen as well, even though he got a lot of things going on too. So I think that if all of us get together, we can start delegating, and we right now we just got to find a place to meet and have a good meeting, letting everybody know what was expected out of each person, And we got to have all our I's dotted and T's crossed when we present this stuff to the city to say this is what we're planning on doing. You still behind us. It's in the air. He, you know what I'm saying? It's been on the air. He said. It came out of his mouth. He is behind us. So we got to keep the feet to the fire. The city, the city council, you know, I know that a lot of the city council was offered to come on Teen Summit and they didn't come. Of course, now that this was said, oh, we'd love to come to this, is what they're going to say. But when we have this, it's not for them to speak over our youth. It's for our youth to let them know what they need and ask them, what do y'all think y'all need from us so that we can help you help us. That's the best way to do it. The best way to do it.
And you know what, Mike? Yeah, absolutely. But we also got to start standing 10 toes and be held accountable for ourselves and stop looking for the hand. Right. Stop looking for the hand and be accountable for ourselves. Because like one of the you said earlier, we got a lot of stuff in our own community. We just got to utilize it. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, when we come with, when we make our plan out, you know, it's going to be so tight till they can't say no. If one thing they're going to say no to is they don't show up, and they ain't going to say no to that. They'll say yes, they might not show. But the thing about it is, we got to be accountable and held tight within ourselves. Because see, we got to have our stuff so tight today, because they're going to look for a wrong or a mishap.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Our intent is to do everything the perfect way. If we got to raise our own money, we got to raise our own money. That way, they can't say we'd like to do this, but we don't have the money to fund you. We're gonna do it without y'all.
Yeah, there's ways to get it done.
And that way, they know that we're talking about.
Right.
I am so grateful that you came on this show tonight with us. Once again, I'm sorry that you didn't get a chance to speak with the mayor. I wanted to make sure that each and every one of you had a chance to speak to him personally. I thought you would have gave the time that you speak. He had to go.
It'll be another time.
Yeah, we're trying to work as far as everything. Everybody else on the panel, thank y'all so much for coming in.
Thank y'all for having me.
You know, every time we do a Teen Summit, the you people show is astonishing. I'm proud of each and every one of you and ladies. I'm extremely proud of each and every one of y'all. And I know that if we work together, then that we can make the Tuscaloosa place for everybody. I do mean everybody. Having said that, DJ Mello, man, got a couple commercials. Let's take us up out of here. Y'all have a good night. We'll see y'all down 4 report with Darren McKinstry, 8 p.m. Have a good night.
Head on down to Archibald and Woodrow, some of the best barbecue in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, y'all. Right off of 4125 Greensboro Avenue, Tuscaloosa, Alabama, 35405. You can hit them up at 205-331-4858. Also, you can find them at their other location, 1211 Martin Luther King Boulevard, Northport, Alabama, 35476. 205-345-6866.